So glad you are with us on Elevate Your Wealth. Brad Johansson, Casey Elkins, Mark Stimson, Elevated Financial Management. Good to be back with you guys. You all right?
Yeah, great to see you, Brad.
Good to be with you too, Brad.
You're good?
Yeah.
You ready for a quiz?
We're there.
Oh,
Ask away, baby.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, we are going to find out. Look,
we are Jeopardy masters.
No, I'm not. You've probably worked with a corporation. Shoot, maybe in your area you've done Boeing or Amazon or Microsoft. Shoot, I come from Procter & Gamble world. They always did this. Did you ever play this game, or did they make you play this game? Two truths and a lie is kind of, breaking the ice kind of thing. We're going to play a little two truths and a lie, gentlemen, if you're prepared. I don't know whether you're prepared for this, but I'm leading the way on this, so you figure out how much you know about your retirement and whether or not it's true or whether or not you've been fed a lie during this thing. Are you ready to play?
Let's do it.
All right,
play.
Let's break the ice. As a matter of fact, we're going to break the glass. We're breaking the glass on this one. Do you guys want something for free? I like to give things for free. So actually, Casey and Mark like to give it for free. I like to give it out because it costs them. They're giving it for free. BreakTheGlassBook.com. You can scan the QR code. What do I get for this, Brad, you're asking? You get the book for free that gives you an idea what's true and what's not true about retirement, and it will take you through that. We'll ship it to you for free. You can read it for free, and you can come in and say, I need help. BreakTheGlassBook.com. Scan the QR code. And now that leads us to two truths and a lie in our Jeopardy game of chance. I don't know what I'm talking about. Two truths and a lie. Let me begin with this. I'm going to use the glasses if you guys don't mind. First, I can't depend solely on Social Security benefits to pay for my living expenses when retired. It's never too early to start saving for retirement. I don't need help with my plan. I can use an app for free, and we like free things, and get the same information. Gentlemen, which is the lie?
Well, I'll take this one.
Okay, Mark.
So, I love the fact, how many of us just want to depend on Social Security, right, when you retire? We know.
There's 1 out of 4 families right now doing it, and it's not working very well.
It isn't. It's a very harsh reality, right, and especially in our area in Seattle. So that's definitely true. You don't want to have to depend on that. Okay. It's never too early to start for retirement savings. Well, we have a lot of seniors that work at Walmart. And I give Walmart a lot of credit for hiring seniors. I do. But why are so many seniors working at Walmart? They're dealing with, Casey mentioned that in a show before we've done many times. They're dealing with the pain of regret, right? They didn't start early enough and they never saved enough money, so they're really dealing with that pain of regret.
You only want to retire once.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to go back and try and do it again. Okay?
And that doesn't feel good, right? So the last one, I don't need help with my plan. Well, we know robo-advisors are being talked about a lot right now in this world.
Well, AI is big.
Yeah, it is
They can do anything.
You know what I'm going to say to that? Ask a robot about emotion and about so many things that come with retirement planning deal with with a lot of different feelings, right? Emotions get involved. And a robo-advisor is not going to be able to do that. So again, when it comes to true retirement planning, please, if you're watching, work with a true holistic retirement planning firm. I think if you do, you'll find that it's like night and day. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz. I remember when the Wizard of Oz came out, it was in black and white only. And now when that came into color, how did that change everything? And I like to liken that. That's the difference to me between working with a true holistic planning firm versus just a wealth accumulation firm.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Okay.
Brad, a lot of people really do think that AI can do it all, or that an app can do it all.
Well, then it's going to be cheaper for them if they just do it that way.
Right, exactly. And again, that comes back to the idea that one size fits none type of planning.
I love that line.
I think that's the case with AI too. We can use an Excel spreadsheet and plug in some numbers and it'll spit out the truth. It will. But is that truth custom tailored to the type of retirement that you want to have? Does it help you accomplish the goals that you have in your retirement. And we use those apps. We've tested them. We want to see what it's all about. We want to see what other people are trying to do. And they always fall flat on their face. We've used some of these AIs and asked them to build a comprehensive retirement plan as a test, and inevitably it misses something. Now, as AI gets better, will it kick out different results? Sure, definitely, but that still takes the human element out of it. And the truth of it is, when you come to retirement planning, when you look at retirement planning, it is not about the numbers. It is 100% about the emotional impact that plan is going to have on your life.
Okay, I'm going to land on that.
It isn't just about the numbers.
I'm not going to go to the next one yet, because I think we need to. You started with this because you said robo don't have emotion, and we're dealing. It is 100% about this, and that a lot of us end up in this state. This becomes much more psychological than it does financial.
Absolutely.
Because we make our decisions based on our feelings. And yet the idea is we need to understand that there probably needs to be somebody who's not making the decision based on emotion, except they're dealing with your emotions. I don't want to make that confusing. I want it to be understood that we panic and then we do things, or we get greedy and we do things. Why is this emotion in dealing with the client and you separating that emotion so important on what you do individually?
When I think about decisions that I've made in my life, the ones I regret the most are those snap decisions that I made solely based on emotion. Those are the decisions that people regret. Those are the ones that I regret the most. And so when it comes to finance, there has to be a strategy behind it, but we can't take the emotion out of it, because the retirement plan is supposed to be emotionally gratifying, right?
And based on your feelings of what you want.
It's based on the goal. It's based on, you think of the golden years, nobody pictures a big pile of money in their bank account. You think of your golden years and it's time with your grandkids. It's time with your kids. It's the trips that you've been waiting
Experiences.
to take. Exactly. And that is the emotionally gratifying piece that the money is there to support. And when we use a cookie cutter robo-advisor or some sort of AI to kick us a plan out, what it's focused on is creating you the most assets. If you want the most assets in retirement, I'll tell you exactly how to do it. Never retire, work for the rest of your life, and don't spend anything. That's really what it comes back to. But that's not what anybody wants from their retirement plan. They want to use their assets to fund their life and enjoy their time.
Casey, we have to laugh about certain things. I think because we use AI in our office. There are so many things that AI is so wonderfully built and designed for, right?
For time efficiency.
Yes, that's a big one. And there's so many things where it can be used to really help all of us to a certain degree, and especially in finance. They can be a powerful tool. But I want the first robot to be built to talk about legacy planning with maybe a grandmother and a grandfather, and trying to have the robot explain how much nicer it is to be able to pass assets on to their children or their grandchildren with warm hands versus cold hands. I want to see how the robot does that, right?
And
like again, it's just something we need to think about. Emotion is going to be involved in this type of planning. You can't take it out. I want it involved. I want clients to tell us how excited they are. We've got clients really set up all over the world now, and we have some the story of them telling us what they're doing now in Bangkok, Thailand. I want that emotion in there. That's what really drove their decision to want to do this type of planning. It wasn't based on just numbers. It was based on emotions, and so you can't really take all of that out. You just can't.
See, and I got emotionally involved as a game show host. I didn't even get past one question before we've got to get to break. I've got to be more efficient. Look, the idea is that we can't take the emotion out of this, and it is all in breaktheglassbook.com, so I want you to scan the QR code. Would you like your free copy of the book? Did I mention it was free? I think I did. It is yours. We'll ship it out to you so that you can read this cover to cover and say, you know what, I understand this a little bit better. And simplifying the idea is what it's all about. And then you're going to want to make a phone call to 844-342-7142. Let's put together a complimentary written financial plan that is yours and yours alone, that no robot can do in the time that we can express the emotions, that we understand how you feel, and that your retirement is special to you because it's not like anyone else's. 844-342-7142. Want to play more of the game? I promise I'll get to more questions after this.
At first, I thought I was going to become an iron worker, and after I graduated from high school, I drove from Virginia out to Wyoming, where my dad was at. My parents had just got divorced, and I watched my grandfather on my dad's side. My grandfather got Alzheimer's and spent the last several years of his life in a nursing facility, and I watched them be devastated at the cost at the time because they didn't have any insurance and that created a real problem for them. They lost the bulk of their assets, liquid assets. They were able to retain the farm back in Iowa, but it taught me a lesson that I don't want to ever go through that. I don't want my children to have to go through this. And so I met an individual at an event that I was doing, a party basically at his house, and he invited me to come to his house the next day. And I decided to check it out. And he said, "Mark, you would be very good at this." And it was basically in the long-term care business, Medicare and Medicaid planning to a certain degree. So I help people get Medicare figured out, but then it also spurred me into the long-term care field as well. So again, that's really how I got into this business to begin with.
Glad you're with us on Elevate Your Wealth. Brad Johansson, Casey Elkins, Mark Stimson, Elevated Financial Management. The book is yours, so I want to continue to make sure that you have this opportunity. BreakTheGlassBook.com. You can scan the QR code. We'll send this out to you for free. Mark and Casey put this together for good reason. It's to make your retirement simple and to understand it, because for a lot of you, it's just been jargon. I don't get it. I can't figure it out. This simplifies it for you. BreakTheGlassBook.com. You can go to the website. It's easier if you just scan the QR code, so do that now. I'll leave it up there for you as we continue our game, Two Truths and a Lie in Retirement. We got to a full one question in the next one. I'm going to try to get to more. Two truths and a lie, gang. I am always going to be comfortable with the risk level that I am at. Your second question. Emergency savings, or I guess statement. Emergency savings is different than borrowing from your 401k. It's never too early to begin planning for retirement. Did we use that one in the earlier question? But I think that's going to be, I'll let you proceed, gentlemen.
Well, it was a truth in the first one, and it's still a truth. A little different, right? Because the question is there it says it's never too early to begin planning for retirement.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, that is the truth. It's never too early to start planning for retirement. Some people, we've seen folks that say, I'm retiring next week, and this is the first time they're having a conversation
Yes.
about planning for their retirement.
Unfortunately, it happens quite a bit.
It does, yeah. And we've had ones that said, I retired last week, and now I'm here to get a plan together.
That's right.
And you know what? That's okay too, right? That's okay. But if you're thinking of your retirement, it's not too early to start planning. It isn't. You could be in your 30s and start planning for retirement. And it's just different options. And I think that this is really the key behind it. The longer the runway that you have, the more potential positive impact you can have on your plan. So the earlier you start planning, the better. It's worth the conversation. The other truth is that emergency savings are different from borrowing from your 401k. So one of the first things that folks need to have is an actual emergency savings account.
How often is that neglected?
Very often, because saving in a 401k is talked about so much that emergency savings starts to disappear. And we have to make sure that we have our priorities, because if we don't have that emergency savings, then when something does happen, our only choice is to borrow, and that costs us money to do it. Okay. So we do need the emergency savings. That has to be in place. Now, how much emergency savings?
That's what I was going to ask.
That's the big question. While you're working, it doesn't have to be potentially as big as it is when you're in retirement. 3 to 6 months worth of spending. So if it costs you $5,000 a month to live your life, $15,000 to $30,000 in an emergency savings type account is the right path.
And err on the high side.
We would say err
of
on
the
the high
6 months.
side. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when you move into retirement, a little bit different. That bigger cushion feels a lot better. It's more emotionally gratifying, and it gives you the license to go spend in retirement. So we say 6 to 12 months when you're in retirement.
Love
so
that.
Bigger cushion, and that can be dialed up or down depending on the individual circumstance, right? Now, the lie, this
Take
is
me
the
to
key.
the lie.
I am always going to be comfortable with the risk level that I am at. Now, some people may feel that way, but it's really not the truth, because our risk level has got to change as our life changes. We have to stop trying to make our life fit our finances and instead make the finances fit our life.
Love
and
that.
if we don't, that's a recipe for failure.
Can we, so if you say that this is a lie, should we consistently, in a plan that you are putting together for your clients, continue to revisit my risk level as to where my life is?
That is an absolute truth, right? We need to visit because our circumstances change. We could have big life-changing events that happen to us. Because really, I think it's important to define risk tolerance, right? Well, somebody could be watching and go, well, what is risk tolerance? In a nutshell, it just boils down to how much money are you as an investor willing to lose? That's really what we're talking about, is loss, right? And some people can stomach a lot of it, and especially if they see an upside, the upside is worth it. Others may feel like, I'm taking too much risk, I don't want to lose anything. So their planning needs to be done totally different. That's why we're so dedicated. Each person is unique, right? The plans can't be designed one size fits all. We're not trying to shove, a square peg in a round hole. It doesn't work. So everybody's risk tolerance is different, but it does change as well. If they're younger and they're just crushing it at work and they're putting money into their 401ks, whether it's Roth or traditional, they can take a lot more risk, right? Because when the market does drop, it also is great buying opportunities or growth opportunities.
Because we got
right?
time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that can be really good in the long run. But if you're approaching retirement or in the red zone, as we call it, the retirement red zone, that can be disastrous if we start to draw down on that money, on that red bucket at the same time that the market is maybe tanking. That can be a disaster. And so again, if we have a plan where we're not having to use the red money, the market money to create income, that takes a lot of pressure off everything else. Then we can afford to ride that roller coaster and not get so emotionally tied to it, because we're not going to be looking at those dollars for maybe 10 or 15 years down the road. So that can really help in a true plan.
And Mark, I appreciate you saying that, right? Because it's not timing the market, it's time in the market that creates success. And we see that a lot, people trying to buy and sell at the right time, and very few people can do that successfully. There's been thousands of studies that have been done on it that prove that that is the case. And so it's time frame, and the longer the time frame, the more volatility that we can kind of stomach, because we know we don't need that money for many years. But when we think about risk tolerance, there's also risk capacity.
Amen.
And risk capacity is really important, because we as an individual may say, I'm okay with this high level of volatility, I feel comfortable there. But depending on where we're at in time frame to retirement or already in retirement, how many assets we have, what our income streams look like, that might tell us that we can maybe stomach it, but the plan actually can't support it. And so we have got to make sure that we're not only combining the tolerance, but also the capacity for risk that your plan allows you to have.
Okay, one more. We got to get to this. Fiduciary makes decisions with your best interest in mind. You can create a plan that involves guaranteed lifetime income for life. I need $1 million to retire. Go.
All I'm going to say is that may or may not be the case. And I love the buzzword, right? One of the big buzzwords in the financial world is you need to work with a fiduciary. And we do agree with that, right? A true fiduciary is supposed to put their clients first at all times. But what I will say, Bernie Madoff was a fiduciary. How'd that work out for everybody?
Not so well.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You still have to do the right thing. We can have all these letters like an attorney, right? JD. behind our name, but how many attorneys always do the right thing, right? And I'm not picking on, because a lot of attorneys do the right thing. We need attorneys, right? But again, just because you have letters behind your name doesn't mean you do the right thing. But a true fiduciary has to look at what's best for his client, not what's best for himself, right? And that's critical to working and doing the right thing. So again, a fiduciary makes decisions. That's true. You got to come first. You can create a plan that involves guaranteed lifetime income. That's true. You need $1 million to retire. Well, conceptually, we hear that all the time. Seems to be a buzzword, right? If you hit $1 million, you're good, right? But you think about a 5% drawdown rate on $1 million, and what's that equal to? That's about $50,000 a year. And I know up in Seattle, that may not be enough to live the type of life that you want. So $1 million may or may not be what's needed if you really, there's so many more information that we need.
Yeah, and it all depends on your other income sources too, right?
Yep.
You may not even need $1 million. Let's say you've got a great government pension and your Social Security looks good, or whatever your circumstance is. If you have other income sources, you might be able to retire with less than $1 million. If you want to have a couple $100,000 a year in retirement and you got $40,000 or $50,000 a year from Social Security and nothing else, it's going to take more than $1 million. So, that's something that it gets thrown out there too often, and it sets people up for failure because it creates this falsity in people's minds.
Well, it's the idea that you're just like everybody else, that if we have this number, then it works for everyone. It doesn't work for everyone, which is why it's all in the book, breaktheglassbook.com. Scan the QR code. You want yours for free? Okay, we'll send it out. We want you to have the education, to have an understanding. We want this to be true for you, that your retirement can last with a plan that we put together. We'll do that for you as well when you call 844-342-7142. Complimentary. The idea is, how do we make your life better? How do we do it so that you get the retirement that you want? Make the call. We got one more when we come back.
We want to make sure that our employees feel great about working there. We have a wonderful Maggie up front. People love her. She is so good with clients, both when they come in and also when she's on the phone with them.
We've got Kelvin. Kelvin is a CPA, a paraplanner, really sharp guy, and just friendly. Everybody loves him. If you don't like Kelvin, it makes me question whether or not you're a good judge of character, right?
We're building a wonderful thing here, and that's our goal, is to really build a firm that can sustain itself even if Casey aren't there on a day-to-day basis. And that's really what our goal is. And it's been wonderful. Everybody loves working there. We love each other. We treat each other with love and respect, but we do have a lot of fun.
Glad you're with us on Elevate Your Wealth. Brad Johansson, Casey Elkins, Mark Stimson, and we are talking two truths and a lie. We're trying to get through a bunch of them. This is complicated, which is why we continue to do this. And the complication is simplified in the book. We'll send this out to you for free. Scan the QR code as we get to one more. So I'm a terrible game show host trying to get to all. I mean, the Jeopardy board would still be full. We wouldn't get to all the categories.
Well, it was entertaining at least.
I'm going to get to one more. Okay, two truths and a lie. You can boost your monthly Social Security payments if you delay claiming until age 70. You need 70 to 85% of your current income level to win in retirement. Your Social Security benefits may be reduced if you begin benefits before full retirement age or are still employed. Go.
So let's start with the two truths. So the first one, you can boost your monthly Social Security payments if you delay claiming until age 70. That's true.
Yeah.
Yep. So for every year that you wait, your Social Security continues to grow.
8%.
Yep, 8%. Yep. So if your full retirement age is 67, which for a lot of folks it is, every year that you wait, it's going to grow by 8% until you reach age 70. There's no point in waiting past 70 to start. So that one is true. Then your Social Security benefits may be reduced if you begin benefits before full retirement age. That is absolutely the case. So if you start your Social Security at 62, that could be up to a 25 or 30% haircut in your Social Security payment. That's a big number, and it's for life. You're not going to get that money back. And if you start your Social Security while you're still working, then you have to deal with what's called the earned income test. And we don't have the time to get into the details of that, but that can reduce your Social Security as well. It's a penalty for every $2 over a certain threshold, you have to pay $1 back of your Social Security. And then the lie, and this one really gets me going. You need 70 to 85% of your current income level to win in retirement. Well, only if you plan on living 70 to 85% of the current life that you're living now. Yeah. We really struggle with that idea. We hear that a lot. Well, we only need to replace about 80%. That can be true. Let's say you pay off your house right as you retire, and so you have a lower need for income because of that. That could be the case, that maybe you don't need 100% of your current income. But it's not a standard rule across the board. It doesn't apply to everybody. And for a lot of people, if they were to live on less in retirement, they're actually going to do less than what they were doing while they were working. And that's not our definition of the golden years, and I don't think it's anybody else's either.
The idea is that we've been fed a lot of lines that say this is what it is. And what you're doing constantly is saying, if you're listening to everybody else tell you what retirement looks like, you're probably missing out on your own retirement, because we're going to do it individually for you.
There's a lot of water cooler talk, right? And that's dangerous, because sometimes we can listen to maybe somebody at work, Aunt Wilma, Uncle Fred, and they've got ideas about Social Security, because opinions are a dime a dozen, right? The one thing that Casey and I do know is we don't know exactly when someone is going to pass away. So again, that makes it really hard to know exactly when that person should take Social Security. So there's so many levers to pull in retirement. You've got to have a plan, and that's what we truly put together at our firm.
Well, the idea is that you want it all to be true. How do we figure this out? How do we make the dominoes so that they fall the way that I need them to fall? The book is yours for free, and you can call for a complimentary written financial plan at 844-342-7142. It is the idea that this is extremely complicated, and it's yours, and it should be yours, and you should be able to do it the way that you want to do it, without somebody else telling you what the rules are. Let's make this a truth for you, that I will have money that lasts until my last breath in the way that I want to do it. And making the call will get you on that path. Let's put together a plan for you. Grateful for your time here. Thanks so much for spending it. Now spend some time on yourself. Make the call. Let's put together the plan. And guess what? We'll see you right back here next time on Elevate Your Wealth.